7.8. Consideration, 7.8, consideration of quarterly report of construction contract change orders approved under delegation of authority to Public Services Director for the Lake County Sheriff Administration Facility Renovation Project. Public Services Director Lars Ewing, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Lars Ewing, Public Services Director. As your board is aware, the project for the adaptive reuse or remodel of the armory to the new Sheriff Administration Center is underway. It's going very well. For a very brief update, it is summarized in the memo, but we are somewhere in the 35% completion rate. That is ahead of schedule. We do expect that schedule to go back to the alignment with the original schedule, just based on some equipment items that will be coming in that have a long lead. They're ordered, but they're weeks, months and months out. So project continues. We're not delaying, but ultimately the final completion will probably be at that June 2026 schedule. I do want to pause and just really make the board aware of how well this project is going. The sheriff is working closely with Public Services Capital Project Management team led by Joe Cooper. I would say for a project of this size, I'm hearing very little of it. I check in very frequently about it, but he is managing it exceptionally well. The contractor is a model of what a contractor should be, so it's going very well. Your board should be pleased. One of the items that was one action that your board took specific to this project was a delegation of authority of construction contract change orders. That was a few months ago, so your board may recall that. There were some conditions associated with that delegation of authority. First off, most construction contract change orders come to your board. A couple of months ago, your board delegated certain authority to me, just in the interest of time, to make sure that the project can continue. The conditions associated with that were really control measures. That no single change order would exceed. It's here in writing, but it would not exceed $210,000. The second item was that the cumulative total of all change orders would not exceed $610,750. And the third is that I would come and present a quarterly report to your board. So we are at that quarterly deadline here. So as a report, what I provided were the two contract change orders that were approved under that delegation authority. CCO number 1 in April of 2025 for a total of $139,404.84, and change order number 2 in June of 2025 for a total for that change order of $68,192.22. So a total of the cumulative total is $207,597.06. The scope of these change orders are relatively common in construction. I could certainly detail each one. The attachments for each for both change orders do include a breakdown of those, but I can tell you that there wasn't anything that was worthy of being called out specifically. So with that, I'll conclude the report. It was informational only. Certainly direction from the board is always welcome, but at this point that concludes my presentation.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I just want to say how much I appreciate we gave you that flexibility in order for you to not have to waste any time on this project. Really happy to hear that the project's moving along. I will be reaching out to see if it's possible to do a just quick review without getting in the way and just taking a look at how things are going. Be awesome if maybe 2 of us can go to, that way you don't have to get 5 different offers at 5 different times. But just wanted to, again, thank you. We gave you the flexibility. You're coming back to us with what we requested, and I'm happy to see what's there. This is a $12 million overall. I think it's around that number for this specific contract. We're very small percentage increase at this moment in time for overall project potential change. So glad to see where it is and how it's going. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'll work with admin on scheduling that. I think we are at that stage where, well, we're always at the stage where you're welcome to do a site visit, but getting eyes on target, so to speak, I think is beneficial for everybody. So we'll arrange for that.
We have hard hats.
Nice.
Yeah.
That makes it more exciting.
Any other questions or comments? Open it up for public comment. All right. No hands in Zoom, bring it back to the board, and it looks like this is informational, like Laura said, and we will close this and move on to 7.9. Consideration of a determination that competitive bidding would not be in the public interest pursuant to Lake County Code Section 38.22, and B, authorization of the Public Services Director, Assistant Purchasing Agent to sign a purchase order not to exceed $370,012.50 to Peterson Cat for a used 2020 Caterpillar 730 articulated dump truck for the East Lake Landfill. Public Services Director Lars Ewing.
All right. Well, good morning again. The East Lake Landfill uses a variety of equipment, a variety of heavy equipment, and as your board is also aware, the landfill is in it's a constant construction project, I guess is the simple way to put it. We are also expanding it through in phases. Where we are now with that project and where we are with the landfill, not just the project, and where we anticipate being in the future. The landfill manager is of the opinion, and I've looked at it along with him and his operations supervisor, that this articulated dump truck is of a specific benefit to their operations. And what we're talking about here is hauling of soil when we need to move dirt from point A to point B. One common piece of equipment is a scraper, which literally, as you're driving along, it's scraping the ground and picking up the dirt, and then driving away and dumping it wherever it needs to be placed from point A to point B. Operationally, where we are moving that dirt now, the landfill manager felt that this type of operation, essentially it's a dump truck. That's what we're talking about here. But articulated means that it can pivot at a certain a little bit more than your standard fixed axle dump truck. So in taking his recommendation, we started looking at cost. A new articulated dump truck of the sort that we need at the landfill, estimated was in the $600,000-$700,000 range. So one of our common approaches is to start looking at used pieces of equipment. Obviously, there's a downside to that. One of which is the need to waive competitive bidding if we do in fact find one. It's a challenge to put out a solicitation for a used piece of equipment and really be able to compare apples to apples. So staff was successful in finding an articulated dump truck through Peterson Cat, which is essentially the local Caterpillar dealer and service provider. So there's a big benefit in that. Their reach, they provide, Peterson Cat does provide the ongoing maintenance for our existing Caterpillar fleet. So there's an ongoing benefit to having that same company on board for the ongoing maintenance of that piece of equipment. But it does require your board, if you are willing to support this, waiving the competitive bidding and then approving the purchase order. So I'll end there.
Supervisor?
No, I appreciate your diligence in looking for options, and because this one looks like it'll save us about $55,000 from what we're expecting at least.
Well, much more than that. I mean, on the capital purchase, we're talking about somewhere in the range of $300,000 cost savings. Certainly, we're buying it has a little over 4,000 hours, so it won't last as long as a new piece of equipment. But that upfront cost, I would suggest, and I certainly the landfill manager who has been doing this for quite a long time. I trust his judgment. I don't blindly trust it, but looking into it, I came to an agreement alongside him.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, I'll open it up for public comment. And I don't see any. No hands in Zoom. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
And before I make the motion, I also appreciate the fact that you looked at ways to fill the void and find some savings, because goodness gracious, the cost of a brand new is, and it's not going to get any cheaper, unfortunately. So hopefully we get good life use out of it. I know you mentioned the hours and what's anticipated, and I appreciate for that level of information as well. If there's nothing further, I move to waive the competitive bidding due to Lake County Code Section 38.2. And authorize the Public Services Director, Assistant Purchasing Agent to sign a purchase order not to exceed $370,012.50 to Peterson Cat for a used 2020 Caterpillar 730 articulated dump truck for the East Lake landfill.
I second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Apologize for ending my motion with a question mark.
It won't read that way.
Thanks, Lars.
All right.